Everyone, how's it going? Today I'm going to talk to you about our Clear Bra / PPF sprayer system. If you've ever had hatred of spray bottles, and it may not just be for PPF, you may have something that you're constantly spraying from the ceiling. It may be waterless wash or rinseless wash. But if you have a need for a spraying system and you don't like bottles, and while you might like the canister, you don't like to drag it around the shop like us, we built a PPF sprayer system that's attached to reels and kind of hidden away. We like to maximize our space because we have such a small space. So big thanks to Mike Norn, who kind of got me into this idea and then encouraged me to develop something new, so to speak, which then he used at Midtown Motor Trend. So big shout out to Mike Norn at Auto Film Specialist, Auto Film Mastery. So I'm going to show you how this system works. So come with me and check it out. All right, so the first thing I really want to do is introduce you to a keg sprayer system, just in case you're only using bottles and you haven't upgraded to a keg at all. And I'm going to demonstrate on this mini keg, which we get from Tint Hosilla. And we use this keg, it's small, but we use this keg for gel. We don't run this from the ceiling. It's used a lot less frequently. So the way a sprayer system works is you got this keg, which you pressurize using this Schrader valve here. And this disconnects, this is the output, and it's got like a locking mechanism, and it's pressurized and it holds pressure. So you fill it up with air, you fill it up with a little bit of liquid. You don't want to fill it all the way to the top because then you'll have less pressure. So you fill it like halfway or less. I think a gallon is what we put, a gallon of gel at a time max is what we put in here, maybe a half a gallon. So you fill it up, it pressurizes, and then you got this hose that runs into the sprayer system, and you have an adjustable nozzle so you can go from stream to sprayer. And it's really simple. You just press this button and the pressurized system comes out. It's at an angle, and then all of these little sprayers, they have a filter in them, and that filter catches debris, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we get to the other system. So it does have a filter in it, and you can kind of adjust it. You can adjust the tip up or down, or whatever the case may be. So that's what a keg or a keg sprayer looks like. Now, in a typical scenario, if you didn't have our reel system, what you would do is you would kind of move this keg or a 5-gallon keg around the vehicle, or you'd have like a long table tangled hose coming down that you're going to install with. But I'm going to show you how we pulled that all off the floor and made it a super easy, convenient system. So come check this out. All right, and we'll review this product in another video, but here we have a Fortress compressor. It really doesn't matter what compressor you use for this particular system, but you'll notice we have our line teed off here, and this line goes to another video. But this line is I'm gonna show you where that line goes. So that line goes up and behind the cabinet, and then you see I used a hole saw and I cut a hole out here, and that line comes in through here. So you got to know that I got a home business by now. So I'm going to show you, this is our hot water heater closet, but in here we have a 5-gallon keg system, a sprayer, and it's similar to the one that I just talked about. And here we have, and I'm all about efficiency, right? So you don't have to have this teed off line, but I have this teed off line because I don't have to move this keg. I simply turn on the compressor and I air up the keg without having to move stuff around. That's why I went the extra effort to move this in here. And then same hose that we talked about over there on the mini system, and that goes up and comes out the same hole. And I've kind of painted it black just to match, but then it goes up into the ceiling. And so it follows the ceiling, and I have 5 reels. So here's one reel, and I have it set up to basically be at the corner of the car. So I got, front left corner, back left corner, and you notice they're all in the same system. So they all get pressure through this line. So you got this one, and then it tees off up here, and it goes to the one that sits typically by the hood of a vehicle. And then we have one at the front right and right rear of the vehicle. And the total length of line, I'd have to look at the mathematical calculations. I did it at one point, but the line holds approximately, all 5 reels and all the associated plumbing holds approximately 1/2 gallon of slip solution. And so I typically fill my tank up to 2 gallons in a 5-gallon tank, knowing that I've got 5 gallons in the system at any given time. And so those systems are always pressurized, as long as that device is pressurized. And the same pressure is going to come from just about anywhere. Now, why is this convenient? I'm going to tell you why it's convenient. Because, see, we got pressure at all ends of the system. What happens is, what I noticed when I first started doing PPF is, you know, I would have my tint keg or keg over here. I spray weed the system or weed the pattern either on the table or on the board, and then I got to move the keg system and everything over to put it on the car. So now what I do is, you know, I'm spraying off the line here, wherever that may be. And let's say I'm working on a hood, I will have the hood line already down. So when I come over here, I'm spraying, and guess what? If I have to come over to this corner of the hood, then I've got this line as well. So I always have a line that's near the vehicle. And while you see it dangling here, one trick, if you've seen our other video, is we will tend to put these nozzles in buckets of fresh water. So if I'm not using it, I just let it sit in a bucket of water. Obviously there's no water in it right now, but you know, we use it in a bucket of water and we can just spray it off. So that's our system there. Next, I'm going to talk about fittings and filters. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is fittings and filters. If you notice while I was showing you around, everything is I use Teflon tape, Teflon thread tape, which comes with most sets of fittings, and that's to prevent leaking. And almost every line has at least one quick disconnect, and that's at the nozzle. That's usually up there in the ceiling. It has quick disconnects, and the reason I did that, and it's not necessarily a required step, is to be able to troubleshoot and remove defective items from the line without impacting operations. So say, for example, you know, one of my reels broke or something, you know, I could disconnect that, quick disconnect that, and sort of segregate that part of the system. So I use thread tape for all of those fittings. And the one thing I'll say that I caution you is, you know, test it out in multiple configurations before you go live with the system. So you're going to bolt the reels into the ceiling, and I'm here to tell you, make sure it's in an actual beam and not in one of the lesser beams, right? So definitely find the sturdier beam. I have it attached to the same beam that is my garage is, you know, the door openers and stuff. I try to have it tied into that stuff. So that's one thing. And two, the fittings and the tee, especially the tees where I tee off the line, no matter what I did, there was a couple leaks at first. It was just drips, you know, as the system pressurized, it would drip. And then as I used pressure, it stopped dripping. But it was annoying and I wanted to fix it. And then it causes, you know, other issues. So over time, I kind of like looked and I was like, okay, I'm going to zip tie this and I'm going to clamp this. So definitely try the system out for a bit before you like go fully live with it and make sure that, you know, everything is running, because it is a bit of a hassle if you care about the appearance of the wire or the hoses and fittings, to kind of get it up there, get it wrenched in, and get it, you know, fully taken care of, you know, before you go live. So that's the fittings aspect. And then the other thing, which is really important for us that we learned, is we use these 40 micron filters from Mike Sanchez at Dirty Tools. And these filters are super helpful for getting debris out of our film. Now, a lot of these sprayers, they come with a 200 mesh filter, and you need to replace those with the 40 micron filter or you're gonna get debris in the film. Now, if you're using this for waterless wash or something, it's not as big of a deal, but 40 micron filter from Mike at dirty-tools.com, that's the way to go for these sprayers to avoid debris in tint or PPF. So that's our sprayer system. I don't think that it's anything that is award-winning, but I do think it's fairly rare to see that level of sprayer system around a shop. And I hope this video was informative, and I hope maybe it gives you some ideas on what you could spray in your shop, whether it's, you know, rinseless waterless wash or slip solution, you know, or whatever the case. You could theoretically use it to do gel as well. We just don't have the line space to put more up there. So tune in for some more videos. I wanted to do a PPF video today for my PPF friends, show you guys how I set up the system, and all the links to the products. I pretty much bought everything on Amazon like I always do. I'm a super big Amazon person. So all the links are going to be in the description, you know, from the fittings to the reels and everything. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.